Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So here's another deck profile for you guys today. This time it's on Red Dragon Archfiend. Now I know I've recently uploaded this deck not too long ago, especially because, the structure deck has only been around for a couple weeks. But I decided to tweak my deck a little bit, fix up some of the issues that I had, and yeah, I think the deck definitely runs a lot better now and definitely a lot more smoothly. I also adjusted my side deck too, just to deal with certain disruptions, as more of like side options, But yeah, figured I'd share with you guys what I came up with this time around, and let's go and get started. So my main deck is now 40 cards. I'm still running the Bystial Package, just because the Bystials, offer a lot of good utility for this deck. So yeah, that's generally why. But anyway, starting off with 3 copies of Soul Resonator. This is one of your prime starters, simply because if this card is normal or special summon, you can add any level 4 or lower fiend monster. So again, it's any level 4 or lower fiend. Also has a built-in protection effect for your Synchro monsters, so if they would be destroyed by card effects, well, specifically your Red Dragon Archfiends, you can banish this card and protect them from destruction. Of course, the effect does lock you into Dark Dragon Synchros, but for this deck, we really don't care because that's generally what the whole deck is. Next, 3 copies of Crimson Resonator. This is probably your second best Resonator. It's basically just Cyber Dragon if you control no monsters, literally a free special summon. Also, if you control exactly 1 other Dark Dragon Synchro monster, you can special summon 2 Resonators from your deck. And keep in mind, they do not have to be of different names. So, yeah, Crimson is nuts. 2 copies of Vision Resonator. Definitely a really good extender piece, simply because as long as there's a level 5 or higher Dark monster on the field, you can literally special summon this for free. If it's into the graveyard, you can add 1 spell or trap that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend. And you got several options for this. So, yeah, I really like what it can do. And finally, 2 copies of Synchron Resonator. This basically ends our Resonator package. If you control a Synchro monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Only summon this card once per turn this way. But the most important effect is the second effect, where you can basically if it's sent to the graveyard, you can add any Resonator monster except itself back to your hand. And keep in mind, this is not a hard once per turn, so you can basically loop this a couple times if you have to. So yeah, Synchron Resonator is really cool. Moving on. Playing 3 copies of Bone Archfiend. Honestly, you definitely want to get into this as quickly as possible. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can send 1 other card from your hand or your field to the grave, special summon this card, and you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except Dark Dragon Synchro, but again, we don't care. Once per turn, you can target 1 card on face-up card, or 1 face-up monster on the field, send a Resonator monster, and you can either decrease that monster's level by 1 or increase it by 1. Most cases, you're going to target Bone Archfiend itself, so yeah. And definitely a great way to go into a Crimson Resonator. Well, try to dump your Crimson Resonator to the graveyard faster, Or if it's already in your hand in this too, you can basically just discard the Crimson and go from there. Next, 1 copy of Obsessive Uvia Loop. It's a pretty cool extender, simply because not only is it a level 4 Fiend Tuner, it's searchable too, which is nuts. But this plus the Bystial is literally a free Bystial Dispatter. So yeah, definitely take advantage of that. And 1 copy of Wandering King Wildwind. Just 1 because, again, searchable, and the fact that it's also an extender piece. So as long as you control any Fiend Tuner with 1500 or less attack, which case is going to be literally everything you have here. Yeah, Wildwind is great for that reason. Moving on to the Bystial Package. Playing 2 copies of the Bystial Rebellion. A 3 was a little too bricky, so I figured, let's go with 2, and yeah, it definitely works a lot better. 2 copies of Juris Worm, probably the best of the Bystials right now, simply because, Magnamut is limited, so might as well play Juris Worm at 2. And plus, this plus a Branded Beast, it's pretty nuts, because, you basically get to remove 2 cards off the field. 1 Bystial Magnamut, because, again, it's limited, and 1 copy of Bystial Saronir. Great way to Foolish Burial one of your other Bystials, mainly Lebellion, or if you already have Lebellion and you want to get into one of your trap cards like Etude or the Branded, you could easily bring it right back through the effect of Branded Beast, which I'll elaborate a little bit more later, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Alright, so let me get these out of the way. Alright, so for my hand trap lineup, I'm playing 3 copies of Ash. Just because it's definitely one of the best hand traps right now. Same with Imperm. So yeah, I think these are probably the 2 best main deck options right now. If you want to play DD Crow, you could. You just have to adjust your ratios, but since I am already on Bystials, that's why I'm not really playing DD Crow in the main. But, I do play it on the side because DD Crow actually does hurt my deck quite a bit. Moving on to spells. 3 copies of Resonator Call. I mean, it's Rhoda, might as well, right? 3 Crimson Gaia, it's Rhoda also, plus a Book of Eclipse and a Monster Reborn. So yeah, Crimson Gaia is pretty nutty. 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. I wish I had Thrust, but I don't, so Talent's going to be the best next option I got. I still got Called by the Grave at least, and Foolish Burial. And for our trap lineup, I only run 3 other traps, so 1 Red Zone because it's searchable, 1 Etude of the Branded. I love this card a lot because like you basically get to Synchro Summon during your opponent's turn, and also it's a one-sided defissure. Like whenever, as long as you control a Bystial monster, any monsters that would be sent to your opponent's graveyard by tribute for a ritual summon or material for a fusion, synchro, or link summon, they get banished instead. So yeah, Etude of the Branded is pretty annoying. And finally, 1 Branded Beast. So like as I mentioned, like if you were to send Etude off of Saronir's effect, thanks to Branded Beast effect during the end phase, you can basically just activate it again. So yeah, there's like no consequence essentially. All right, so for the extra deck, pretty self-explanatory. Got to play 3 copies of Red Rising Dragon. Even though I'm no longer on Pot of Prosperity, this card is still pretty neat. It's very much needed because it's going to be the one you'll make the most. And it's not a hard once per turn either, which is crazy. So when this card is Synchro Summon, you can target 1 Resonator monster in your graveyard, special summon it. And then, of course, it does have a graveyard effect where, except the turn it's sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon 2 level 1 Resonator monsters, and this is why I run 2 Synchron Resonators. But Red Rising Dragon, yeah, it's really good because, like, this, if you bring back your Crimson, as long as this is the only Dark Synchro monster you control, Crimson can basically give you 2 additional Resonator monsters, and you basically get to Synchro Climb. Next up, 2 copies of Red Dragon Archfiend. This is one of the new ones from the structure deck. This card's name becomes Red Dragon Archfiend while on the field or in the graveyard, so really nice. If this card is sent to the monster zone to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 original Red Dragon Archfiend from your extra deck. And this is treated as a Synchro Summon. And if it was used for Synchro material for a Dark Dragon Synchro monster, you get to blow up all your opponent's attack position monsters. So yeah, Red Dragon Archfiend, definitely an amazing card. Of course, I am playing 2 copies of Red Dragon Archfiend, just because, like, you know, it's always good to have that second one whenever you need it. And yeah, it's just a big body, destroys all defense position monsters, so that's pretty nice. 1 Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, definitely a good way to like win by time because like it actually does burn damage. So yeah, why not, right? 1 Red Dragon or Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. I'm actually thinking about bumping that up to 2 because it is one of the best negators you have. It negates any face-up card on the field. So like if your opponent tries to Dark Ruler no more you can chain like Red Zone, for example, and then in response to your Red Zone's activation, you can then use Hot Red Dragon Archfiend's effect to negate Dark Ruler no more. So yeah, as long as you don't try to respond, because like Dark Ruler no more says you can't respond with a monster effect, but if you respond with a spell or a trap effect and then chain to your own effect, yeah, Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss is pretty nuts like that. 1 Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane. Basically this deck's monster reborn on legs, but it's also got a pretty good body, 3500 attack. I also play the 1 Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend. This is purely optional. I just run it because I happen to own one. But I like it because it nukes everything on the field. It's basically Black Rose Dragon. And of course, it doesn't nuke itself, so which is nice. Of course, you can't attack with any other monsters except itself. But it does have a spell and trap negation, but it only works during the battle phase. So it sometimes comes up, but most of the time it doesn't. So like, yeah. If it comes up, it comes up. But if not, you know, why not? 1 Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity. We all know why this thing is busted, because like, yeah. Now, of course, you can break this off of a Etude of the Branded. I heard something about this card losing timing. I'm not entirely sure if that's true or not, so let me know in the comments. But yeah, like, because it is a when effect, not an if effect, so yeah, just let me know, you guys. I would really like to know. Next, 1 Cubebolt, the Blade Dragon. It's a nice little level 7 synchro monster that's pretty easy to make. So like if your opponent like negates your Bone Archfiend's effect, you know, he can go into this, and if you still have a way to go into more synchro climbing, this is a good way to just kind of help you play around it. But you mostly play this for spot removal. And if it's destroyed by battle or card effects, you can target one face-up monster on the field, that monster cannot attack until the end of the opponent's turn. So, like, yeah, that may come up, but again, you mostly just do it for the fact that it pops a card. One Bystial Dispatter. I might also bump this up to 2, but again, like, I'm still debating on that, but usually 1 is more than enough. But again, like, we all know why this is good. It shuffles back banished cards, can either pop or negate, so depending on which banished pile you're shuffling from. And finally, 1 Red Supernova Dragon, just because, like, it's kind of like Red Dragon Archfiend. It nukes everything, but instead of destroying, it banishes everything. So, yeah, pretty nuts. Alright, so that's it for the Synchros. Moving on to my side deck. Now, for my side deck, I'm actually playing 1 Nib, 1 DD Crow, which I might change this off of a 4 D-Shifter, and 1 Drone Lockbird. These are the only reason why I'm only playing these at 1 each is simply because I decided to go ahead and max out my crossout designator. Yeah, so like depending on like what my matchups are, because like some like tier limits, they don't really play a whole lot of hand traps. In fact, sometimes they don't even play hand traps at all. But if they do side them in, you know, it's always good to be prepared. And if someone's on a very specific hand trap, you know, I want to be able to like still be able to play the game, right? And Drone Lockbird is one of those cards that hurts me. Same with Nibiru. So yeah, you can understand why I'm going with this. Still 2 Cosmic Cyclone and a Heartbeast Feather Duster. This is just for like any back row heavy strategy, like Labyrinth, for example. Evenly Matched is just like a good equalizer. And finally, 3 D-Barrier. This is only for Branded or Pearly, because, you know, you don't want them to go off. But, you know, it's also a good cross-out target, too, technically speaking, because, like, you don't want your opponent to lock you out of your Synchros. So, yeah, it's not too bad. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will catch you guys again next time.